Okay, this is one of those problems that asks you to go a long way to come up with a couple of numbers. So let's do the basic EPS first. Let's go through and take a look at what we have here. And let me remind you of a couple of things that you may have forgotten. So they had 250 million shares of common stock. We need that number. We had 10 million shares of 7% $100 par preferred. They purchased 90 million for treasury stock, issued a 4% stock dividend on July 1st, but remember, we always act as if stock dividends occurred the first minute of the first hour of the first day of the year. So that's going to have to go back to January 1st. Then 4 million shares, treasury shares, were sold on October 1st, and net income for the year was 350 million. Okay, so let's handle the easy stuff first. Let's see how many dividends are available. How much earning is available after we pay our preferred shareholders. So we had net income for the year 350 million. And we have 10 million shares of 7% preferred $100 par. So 10 million times 7% times $100 par, that's 70 mil. So the income available to common shareholders is 280. Okay, so we know that's going to be the top part of our fraction. Now we have to come up with the bottom part of our fraction for both basic EPS and for diluted EPS. Well, let's go through. They tell us, and we're just going to go through. We're just going to make up a chart. They tell us that at the beginning of the year we had 250 million shares, and they were out for the entire year. So they were out for 12/12ths of the year. And then they tell us on March 1st, we bought back 90 million shares. So we bought back those 90 million shares March 1st. So we had those for 10 months. We owned those treasury shares for 10 months. So that's 10/12ths. Then they go on and tell us that on the 1st of September, on 9/1, we had 45 million shares to go out to our exercise of the options. So that those 45 million shares are out for September, October, November, December, 4/12ths. And then on October 1st, we sold 4 million new shares, and they were out for 3/12ths. Now, they also tell us that on July 1st, we had a 4% stock dividend. So that goes back, it happened here, July 1st. So all the shares out before then are affected. So that's these guys. And these guys. So multiply out, do the math. 250 times 104 times 12/12, 260. Minus 90 times 104 times 10/12 is minus 78. $45. And remember, see, this is after the split, so there's no adjustment. 45 times 4/12 is 15. And 4, again, after the split, no adjustment. 4 times 3/12 is 1. So when you add that up, our weighted average number of shareholders is 198. So our basic EPS, income for common shareholders, 280, divided by 198. Survey says 280 divided by 198, $1.41. So that's our basic EPS, $1.41. So let's fill that in. And there we go. Now, our fully diluted EPS. Fully diluted EPS starts with this, okay? But it says, what happens, worst case scenario, if all the options were exercised and we act as if they were all exercised at the beginning of the year? So, let's take a look at this. We're going to have basically the same chart we had before. Matter of fact, we'll just use that chart. The only difference that we're going to add here, because see, these are the actual exercise. For 4/12, but we have to pretend that they all exercised at the beginning of the year. So for the 8/12, we have to assume that we had these out. And also remember, when we have options, we act as if we exercised the options, we took the money, and then we used that money to go buy treasury stock. Okay? So that's what we have to act like. So let's see if we have all this information here. I believe we do. The market price for common shares was 75, so that's what we would sell or buy the treasury shares for. So let's take a look. So to see how many shares we're talking about for the assumed number, there were 45 million shares. And the exercise price is $50. Okay. So we assume, worst case scenario, 111, big first hour, first minute, first day of the new year, that all 45 million shares were purchased at the exercise price. So we bought the exercise, we took the money from the exercise price, and then we went and bought common shares from Treasury. So we need to multiply that out first. That gives us 200 million, 250, yeah, this is all in millions, 2,250 million. So we act as if this is fully diluted earnings per share. We're acting as if this happened day one. Okay? So we took that 2,250 million and we bought shares at $75 each. How many shares could we have bought? 2,250 million divided by 75. We could have bought 30 million shares. So we act as if that's what happened. So we bought those 30 million shares, 1-1. So we had those 30 million shares assumed. So we had those 30 million shares. and we had those out for 8/12. And then we had the 15 out for the remaining 4/12. Okay? So let's go through and we'll do this whole thing starting from the beginning, but you understand how we came up with those 30 million and the 45. So, January 1st, now this is fully diluted. We assume that everything that could be exercised, all the options, everything occurred. So, we had 1/1, we have 250 shares, 250 million shares, and they're out for 12 months. Okay, and then 3/1, we bought back 90 shares, and they were out for 10/12. And then we had the actual exercise of 45 million shares. So that was on, what was that, 9/1. 45 million actual. And they were out for, what, the 4/12. And then we had some more shares issued, 10/1, 4 million shares, and they were out for 3/12. Okay, now we have to do a computation with these 45 million, because remember, when we're doing fully diluted, we have to assume that it happened at the beginning. We also have to adjust these like we did before for the 4% stock dividend. So there was actually 45 million shares out there. Okay, we acted as if, when we did that computation, that we could buy 30 million. Remember that? That's how many we would have bought. So that would have come out of treasury shares. Because we exercised the options, 45 million, $50 each. We came up with 2,250,000. We divided it by the $75 share per stock, and we came up with 30 million. So we had 45 million options. That resulted in 30 million shares that we actually would have bought. So there was still 15 million that we didn't account for 8/12 of the year. Okay, so we have to do that. Plus, we have to account for the 45 million that were actually out for 4/12 of the year. Okay, so we need to do that. So all of these numbers we have, this is 260, this is 78, this is 15, this is 1, and we still have, so we've done this piece of the adjustment, okay? We have to do this piece. So we have to take 15 times 8/12. That gives us 10. Okay, so just this piece is 10. So our fully diluted number of shareholders is 208 weighted average million. And we take that and divide that into the income available to common shareholders, which was 280. And when you do that, you come up with $1.35. And that's the diluted EPS as shown. Long way around to get the number. But you need to do each step. There is no shortcut. The shortcut is don't waste your time looking for a shortcut.